It's the Cohn Zone on Wednesday. Yesterday was OTAs and a quarterback competition, which we're going to talk about at length. But something big happened. It was breaking news. Jeff Wilson Jr., we learned, had surgery a week ago for a torn meniscus, and that's what we're going to talk about first. First of all, this is my dad, Lowell Cohn. Dad, thanks for coming on the show.
Love it.
We were planning out this show today, and we were going to end with this and really talk about how, what it means for the roster, but what it means for the media that they kept this under wraps for an entire week. And as we were planning this out, we got a text from the PR staff that John Lynch was going to talk to the media at 12:30. That's why we pushed this back. Lynch did an impromptu conference call with the media explaining what happened with Jeff Wilson Jr. Here's what happened. It was after practice last Thursday. He was in the locker room sitting down at his locker. He stood up, turned to walk away, and tore his meniscus. That's the story. Anyway, that was Thursday. Surgery was Friday, and we didn't find out until yesterday. So John Lynch gave us an opportunity to ask questions. What do you think of what happened, Dad?
Wait a minute. How did you find out yesterday?
Right. So there was practice. We're all asking about the quarterback competition. After all the interviews are done, a national reporter for NFL Network, Mike Garoppolo, reports that Jeff Wilson Jr. had torn his meniscus and had surgery. And we were all scooped. That was the story of the day. And we're over here looking like idiots talking about a quarterback competition that doesn't really matter yet.
Right. So in other words, you got scooped on a local story when you were at the facility.
Yeah.
You got scooped by someone who doesn't even live in the Bay Area.
Right. And something that happened a week ago.
Right. And you would assume that this Garoppolo, God love him, he got a story. Mm-hmm. He either got it from the player, which I doubt, or the player's agent, or somebody in the 49ers organization. Does that sound reasonable?
One of the three. Yeah.
One of the three. Okay. How do I feel about it? First, I want to praise John Lynch for coming out today and explaining what went on in an extremely belated way, but he did the right thing. Iggy, did he apologize?
I'll have to go and look at the transcript to see if he actually said, I'm sorry. But he came on and said, look, we wanted to tell you yesterday. We expected that you would ask us about Jeff Wilson Jr. And if you didn't, Kyle was prepared to say what happened, but he just forgot. And then to Matt Mayoko's credit, at the end of the conference call, he said, why didn't you just tell us about this last Friday, which is what they should have done. And John Lynch said, I don't know. It was the end of the week. We went out of town. We meant to tell you yesterday, basically is what he said.
Yeah, we should have told you Friday, but we didn't. We didn't tell you Saturday. We didn't tell you Sunday. We didn't tell you Monday. We meant to tell you Tuesday, but we didn't tell you.
Yeah.
That's 5 days.
That's 5 days.
That's 5 days. Now, what's bad about it? Okay, a lot of people listening and watching don't care how teams treat the media. I get it. But I want to explain again. Media means in the middle. Media means in the middle. We're in the middle between you. We mediate between the teams and you. The reason we want news is we want to give it to you. We're givers, and we want to give it to you, and we want to do a good job. If the team withholds news from us, which they did in this case, you don't get it. Yeah. And Wilson Jr. is probably the second most important running back on the team.
Yes.
He's really important. Now,
led them in touchdowns last year, the entire team, 10. He led the entire team in touchdowns last year. He had 10. He's very important.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's their goal line guy. He's a big guy, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So this was a very significant piece of news that they didn't give. And what's more, somehow a guy out of the area got it.
Yeah.
On a day that you were all down there.
Right.
Someone could have walked over to you and said, we got to tell you this. Right. But they say they forgot, okay? Which I don't believe. They forgot. So what it is, it's a real screw you
to the local press.
Yeah. To the local press. It's a real, you want to get along with the local press so they don't get on you the way you and I often do get on them.
Yes.
You want to say we're being considerate. We're being professional. And this was not considerate. It makes you look like a bunch of losers. It makes you look unimportant to them.
Yeah.
Is this a way?
And it undermines our credibility with the fans. Like, who are we? We're no better than any fan. If you really want to get the information, you got to go to people who aren't even in California. Only people who break news about the 49ers are in New York.
I love it. Right. If you want to go to learn about the Bay Area, leave the Bay Area. It's a very bad, very bad.
What are we, cheerleaders? What are we there to say? Oh, the Niners look good today. Trey Lance looked good today. That's what we're there for. But when it's actually time to let people know about Jeff Wilson Jr., you call up the NFL Network. Thanks for that.
And I'm going to say something else. I don't often talk about public relations staffs, but I spent my professional life dealing with PR staffs, and I know what they do. One of the things that a good PR person would do at the Warriors, like Raymond Ritter at the Warriors, who's A+, he's a wonderful, wonderful person. Something happens, and he'll go to Steve Kerr or Bob Myers and say, "Look, this just happened. We need to handle this with the media." Now, Raymond Kirk Reynolds would do it when he was at the Niners. Bob Rose would do it when he was at the A's. This happened. We need to how do you want to handle it with the media? We got to do it now. So now, absolutely, because we're a professional organization acting the way we're supposed to act. Right. Well, there was a breakdown at the 49ers on this. Yeah. I look at it, either one of the PR staff went to, let's say, John Lynch and said, look, this guy is a really important guy and he just tore his meniscus. He's going to be out basically the season. We need to handle this with the media. And John Lynch or Shanahan said, screw him, I don't care. That could have happened, which means the PR person didn't have power, didn't have gravitas with them. Or the PR department just forgot to do it or didn't know to do it. Yeah. So this is a breakdown all the way from the owner to the general manager to the coach to the PR staff. This is not a good look for the 49ers, and it's not a way to act, Iggy.
There's a reason why John Lynch scrambled to get on a conference call today at 12:30. And there's a reason why Matt Mayoko said, hey, John, why did you tell us about this on Friday? Matt is his organization is partners with the 49ers. It's almost Matt's job to see it from their perspective. But on this day, he was an old school journalist and said, John, what was that? And John had no answer. He was like, you got me. I messed up. So it was very interesting. Anyway, I don't know how interesting you guys find this, but I find this kind of stuff fascinating because the whole what that conference call was about was those things, not about Jeff Wilson Jr. as much.
Right. I want to say God love Matty Mayoko.
Of course.
That's what a journalist does. And here's the other thing. Iggy, if I were down there on Tuesday, or Ira Miller, and this had happened, and all of a sudden I'm leaving and I read or hear that he tore his meniscus and some joker somewhere else, I would have been on the phone, Iggy. I would have been on the phone, or I would have written an email. I would to Jed. Yeah. Is this how you want to handle it? I would have been pissed off.
Yeah. And I believe that Matt Mayoko seemed like he was, and it seemed like he did the right thing. So good. I would imagine that this conference call today happened because Matt Mayoko did something. I'm guessing because if no one in that PR staff could get John and Kyle to say something, or it wouldn't occur to them, or they didn't have the power, I'm sure Matty was like, hey guys, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you got to say something about this. You let this go for a week and you're not going to talk. You got to say something about this. And they said, okay. So I think Matty might be the PR director of the 49ers. Just doing it out of the kindness of his heart, because
out of his professionalism.
Out of his professionalism.
And this is how journalism works.
Yes.
I want to say something. I may be going wine tasting with Matty over the weekend. So maybe he'll tell me if he put some pressure on them behind the scenes. And this brings up a subtopic, Iggy. This guy got hurt in the first workout.
Yeah.
This guy got hurt, and he wasn't even there for the first day.
He got hurt in the locker room, Dad. In the locker room. Standing up.
So here's what I think. I tend to think, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah.
These guys, the Niners get hurt at an alarming rate. Yeah. And this could just be a one-off, and for their sake, I hope it's a one-off. But Iggy, doesn't it cross your mind, what kind of players do they have, or what kind of training do they have that the guy is already out for the season standing up?
Standing up, yeah. I mean, that's. It was embarrassing that we missed that scoop, but it was also embarrassing because the story yesterday was that the fact that they couldn't get through 1 week of OTAs without losing another key member of the team to a serious injury that could affect his future, not just his present. That's the story. That here we go again. Here we go again. Forget the quarterback competition. That's almost like to distract you. The real story is Jeff Wilson Jr.'s down. Who's going to be next?
That's right, because this team now has a pattern, has a habit of losing guys at an alarming pace. So what I'm saying is, I hope this isn't that. Who needs this? You want the team to be relatively healthy like other teams and to play well and not to be screwed at the start. And you also don't want them to have that excuse.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. We gave people a lesson on journalism, and we hope that John Lynch won't make this mistake again because he only made his own organization look bad. Now let's talk about the quarterback competition. I've seen Trey Lance in person twice. I saw him in front of the whole team yesterday, and I'm not good at scouting quarterbacks. I am good at judging them when they're on an NFL practice field. I've been doing it for 10 years. I have a lot of frame of reference. And before I say what the potential problems with Trey Lance are, I want to remind you of a conversation we had before the draft. You don't try to scout these guys. And I was trying to explain the Niners' choice, and I was like, look, they could take a guy like Mac Jones, who is very accurate and smart, but not an athlete. They could take a guy like Justin Fields, who's very accurate and athletic, but not necessarily a good decision maker. And they could take Trey Lance, who's very good decision maker, really smart, really athletic, not accurate. And you were like, well, I don't like the guy who's not accurate. That just seems, I don't like that guy. And I said, well, wait a second, you can work on that. And I think I talked maybe you into it. I think the Niners talked themselves into it. I saw it in person yesterday. It's concerning, the accuracy. It really is. It's almost made me feel like I want to eat my words a little bit. He's got a lot of work to do. Let me describe what I see. He has two kind of throws right now. He has the what I call a grunt throw, where he throws too hard. It's like the 15-yard throw over the middle or the 12-yard out. And it's like, okay, it's time for me to show off my arm strength. And sometimes he hits it, or sometimes he'll miss high by a lot. And that's bad. That's a problem. He's throwing too hard on those grunt throws. And then what he'll do is, so I kind of like think of it as like Randy Johnson, like missing the backstop, just overthrowing everyone, kind of like that, 98 miles an hour, but you missed. And then what he'll do is on the next throw, he'll aim it and he'll check it down. He checks down a lot. He's almost a check down Charlie in practice. And when it's time to go down the field, he muscles up too much. It's like a pendulum swinging back and forth between too much and he just doesn't seem confident in his arm right now, Dad. And I've never really seen a professional quarterback have that kind of lack confidence in his arm. He's a pro. That's what he does for a living. But he's also 21. It's fixable. It's definitely fixable. Bill Walsh would be able to, it takes him off. You don't have to throw it as hard as you have every time, but the accuracy, if he's not ready to start, it's going to be because of that.
Iggy, I heard you talking yesterday about it, and you said that his passes, when he misses, are high. Yeah. Could you talk about that and what causes passes to be high?
I mean, I threw a lot in baseball, and if I would miss high, it's because I would be trying to throw too hard usually, and your body, you would overstride and your body would get out in front because you're trying to create extra torque with your legs and your torso, and you leave your arm behind. And instead of releasing out in front, you release a little behind your ear. And it's just an issue of repeating a release point. So he has an issue with repeating a release point right now. Remember what Bill Walsh used to say about Donovan McNabb?
Oh, I do remember.
Tell me.
Bill told me that Donovan McNabb was a different quarterback on every throw. That's what Bill told me. Right?
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing from this guy. Like mechanically, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's repeating something. I can see why Kyle Shanahan might have wanted Mac Jones if that's the case, because he's not going to have this issue. Now, I'm watching Trey Lance in 7-on-7s, which is not going to be his best. That's just a pure passing drill. You can't roll out. You can't scramble. He's going to look way better in real games. But yeah, when he misses by a lot, and it's kind of concerning. I don't know.
Okay.
Like I have a bottle of wine running on this, and I'm thinking I'm going to lose this bet, Dad.
Oh, don't worry. I forgot what the bet is.
Who starts week 1?
Oh, Jimmy's going to start week 1.
Yeah, I said Trey, and now I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be Jimmy.
Okay. Tell me some things you like about Trey Lance.
Oh, from all accounts, everyone praises his personality. People gravitate to him. He's a leader. He's mature. He's smart. He's big. He's fast. He has a strong arm. He has all these natural ability things. It's just, and it seems to me that his issue is correctable. Certainly correctable. He's throwing too hard. He needs to work on his mechanics. That's fine. He's 21. I just feel like he may not be ready week 1. He may need to sit for a year, Dad. He may need to go to a passing specialist, and that's okay. I guess I'm recalibrating my expectations for him.
Iggy, when you say a passing specialist, Tom House?
Yeah. Nick Mullins went to him every year. Tom Brady goes to him every year. This guy specializes in that, and I think he's going to have. I think this is going to be something Trey Lance has to work on his whole career, accuracy. And he only threw the ball like 300 times in college. So really, how much experience does he have with this?
And establishing a release point like a pitcher.
Yes, because he's got everything else. And I want to say something. This is kind of people are comparing him in the chat to Colin Kaepernick. No, guys, I watched Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was a pitcher. He was drafted by the Cubs. He was basically pretty accurate compared to Lance. What I'm seeing from Lance, and the guy I'm going to compare him to, I saw him on the Niners for 3 years when he was 25 to 27. I'm not saying Lance is going to end up this way. Lance can improve. This guy never did. But I was watching Lance yesterday, and I was laying at home, and I was thinking, I've seen this before. What was I seeing yesterday? And it dawned on me, Blaine Gabbert. And I'll say why. Blaine Gabbert, 6'5", 235 pounds, ran a 4.6, mobile, a good athlete, cannon of an arm, top 10 pick, very smart, off the charts with his wonder lick, extremely smart, couldn't put the ball where he wanted to put it. And he knew it. He had no confidence in his arm. He had terrible accuracy. And you watched him. He was a check down Charlie. Every throw was checking down, not because it was the right throw, it was because the throw he could make. And so far, that's what I've seen from 20 and 21-year-old Trey Lance in 7-on-7 drills. When he's 22 in 11-on-11s, he could look like Patrick Mahomes or something. But right now, what I saw yesterday, what reminded me of Blaine Gabbert.
That's
so
very
I'm sorry. I want to get some context to that. I'm not saying he's going to be that, but I'm comparing 21-year-old Lance to 27-year-old Gabbert. Gabbert who never improved. Lance can improve, but he's going to need some work.
Interesting. May I ask a question, Iggy? And if I'm getting ahead of us, because I don't have the list with me of questions.
Yes.
Do you feel that the Niners are capable of bringing him along, of instructing him to improve whatever it needs to be improved?
No. And that is a topic for later. We're going to get into that. No,
okay,
he needs to go to Tom House. He needs to go to Tom House. He needs to go to Tom House in June. As soon as minicamp's over, go to LA. So we're going to get to that.
He needs to go to Tom House's house.
Yeah, go to the house that Tom House lives in which Tom House lives. Grandpa Pat Bewley says, Grant, you're the best journalist covering the Niners. Thank you. Thanks you. Tell us about how the running back draft picks look, how they have become extremely invaluable. So now that Jeff Wilson Jr. is out, you got Raheem Mostert. He's the starter, but they drafted 2 running backs. They both look good. Trey Sermon is the 3rd-round pick. He's bigger and tougher, and Elijah Mitchell is faster. They're both going to contribute. JaMychal Hasty looks good, 2nd-year guy. Wayne Gallman looks good. They have a lot of depth. So losing Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't the end of the world, but I really thought he was the hardest running player on the team and one of the hardest running backs. I always loved watching Jeff Wilson Jr. play. It's too bad he's out, I guess. Anyway.
Hey, Iggy?
Yeah.
Iggy, I got a really stupid question.
Sure.
What's a meniscus?
That's a good question. Hey, guys, what's a meniscus? I don't know what a meniscus is either. I know it's in the knee. There's a patella in the knee. There's ACLs and MCL. I have no idea. Hey, if anyone wants to tell us what a meniscus is. Yeah. How long is he out for? 4 to 6 months.
He's done for this season, but he tore his meniscus. Okay,
so my first impression of Trey Lance is that he's needs more work than I thought. He could probably use a year on the bench to work on mechanics. And he's a little shaky right now in terms of confidence. It's a big jump for him. Jimmy, on the other hand, Jimmy Garoppolo, it looks taller. He's carrying himself in a different way. He's got a smile on his face. He was very decisive yesterday with the ball. He was getting it and throwing it. He looks healthy. And his press conference, he was smiling. He is the most confident I've seen him in years. And I don't know, what do you make of that, Dad?
I know exactly what to make of it.
Tell me.
Jimmy took the measure of Trey Lance, and he says, "I'm better than this kid."
Yeah.
You want to bring him in? What? Bring him in because I'm better than him. Iggy, isn't that what it means?
Yeah, I'm sure Jimmy's had a lot of stressful days and nights the last couple of months since his trade went down. They're pushing me out. They're going to get someone. And then you stand next to him and you practice next to him for a day and you say, this guy's not taking my job anytime soon. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Exactly.
It's possible that Trey Lance is the best thing that ever happened to Jimmy Garoppolo. Think about his life. He was doing nothing at Eastern Illinois, just being big man on a small campus. Gets drafted by the Patriots, end of round 2, and they say, you're going to be great. You're going to be Tom Brady's heir apparent. It's like he's King Arthur. He's just no one to someone great. Then he goes to the Niners and gets a $100 million contract after 5 starts. Like, he never really had to prove himself. And then one bad year, they throw him out. And he's like, okay, now I really have to. I'm 30 years old. It's like the day we were walking through the graveyard. He's been walking through the graveyard the last 2 months. And he gets to practice. He's like, wait a second. My career is very much alive. Very much alive. What a glorious May day in Santa Clara. I love Santa Clara. I love this place. I'm going to buy a second house.
You see it the same way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This guy I can't even throw well. Put Rosen in. Rosen would have a better practice than Trey Lance right now. Now I'm telling, maybe when Trey Lance gets into a real, so what I want to say here is, let's put it this way. Jimmy's going to win this quarterback competition. If the quarterback competition comes down to how they perform in practice, Jimmy's going to win. The only way that Jimmy's going to lose this job is the way Alex lost it to Kaepernick, by injury. It's going to have to be Jimmy getting hurt and Trey Lance showing that he's just a total natural when when the live bullets are flying, when it's real football, because practice is different. Maybe because Kaepernick was that kind of guy early in his career.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But he's not going to stand in practice and execute the offense better than Jimmy anytime soon.
I agree. It's very interesting. So Jimmy is like, he's on cloud 9.
Oh, absolutely. He's not going anywhere. His teammates see it. The media sees it. The coaches see it. It's obvious. I mean, this is a guy who's working on confidence with his throws. He's not a natural thrower. Jimmy is a natural thrower. He's not an athlete. He can't make plays with his legs. He can't stay healthy, but he's not going to sit back there like, oh man, can I make this throw? Yeah, I'm a professional thrower of a football. I could do that. And he's looking at this guy like, wow, you're trying to replace me with Tim Tebow, huh?
So what was his demeanor, Jimmy, during the Zoom news conference?
Gushing happiness. And the funny thing was, most people were asking him about Trey Lance. And so it was an opportunity for him to be big, for him to be big-hearted. We're going to get to that in a second. Let's answer a couple of questions and then go to that topic because it's a natural segue. Last Second Sports, Jesse Naylor. Hey, Jesse, Grant, don't let Grant worry y'all too much. Rodgers has relaxed. I have Lance's quarterback coach back on next week. We will get answers. Meniscus is cartilage BT'd up. Yes, I'm not saying that Lance can't fix this. In fact, I'm saying he can. He can fix this, but it's going to take work, and he's not there yet. That's all I'm saying. Hold on. Hold the phone. Two more. Just a second. Grandpa Pat Dooley. Remember, Grant, you owe me a bottle of wine. Just kidding. Mr. Lowell, I met you in Rockland in 1995. Steve Young shunned me. LOL. All right, Grandpa Pat.
I didn't shun him, though, right?
Meniscus is a C-shaped piece of cartilage that acts as a cushion between your shin bone and thigh bone, Grant. Yikes. I see. So in basketball, you tear your meniscus, all of a sudden you're not dunking and jumping like you used to. Let's see what it does for a running back. Interesting. All right, let's move on. Hold on. Next topic. We did the rebirth of Jimmy Garoppolo. I never clicked on it. Okay. The thing about sports writers and Garoppolo. So yesterday, Garoppolo had his press conference, and 8 of 10 questions were about Trey Lance. What's your impression of Trey Lance? What do you think of Trey Lance? What's your relationship with Trey? Advice for Trey Lance? What do you think of? I didn't ask him. I asked him a question. It was about him. What do you think of that line of questioning?
Let's not do you. Let's do the other questions first.
Yeah.
I think, again, I wasn't involved. If I were Jimmy, I would find it offensive.
Yeah, me too.
Because Jimmy, they're treating him like he's a footnote.
Yeah,
to Trey
like he's
Lance.
The quarterback coach. Like he's the quarterback coach. He's a mentor.
And really, what I would want if I were Jimmy White, how are you doing? You're the one. You earn a lot of money. You earn more money than this kid. You've took him to a Super Bowl. I would want there to be questions about me, and I would feel offended. And out of respect for Jimmy, I wouldn't ask him about Trey Lance. I'd ask other people about Trey Lance.
Yes,
I wouldn't like it. And Iggy, let's do, as an example, as a comparison, what happened at the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and Cam Newton. Would you tell the story?
Okay, so that was 2016. Peyton Manning was at the end of his career. Cam Newton was at the beginning. Cam Newton had just won the MVP, and everyone was coronating him the best quarterback in the world. People were expecting the Panthers to win the Super Bowl. And when Peyton Manning would sit down at his press availability, I mean, that's like for like an hour, and you get asked a ton of questions. Most of them are about Cam Newton, and he was patient, but at the same time, his answers was he had a great season. He's had a great start to his career, but he's going to need to prove it for a very long time. He didn't say the way I did, but it was implied, and all of his answers were measured like, yeah, I'm impressed with Cam Newton, but wait, you're talking to Peyton Manning right now, and all you can ask is about him, and then he beat him.
He beat him, and the other guy melted down in the game and after the game.
That's right.
And Manning didn't. Manning manned up. So the analogy here is it was insulting to Peyton Manning to have to sit there and talk about the other guy. I find it insulting for Jimmy to have to talk about this guy. I wouldn't have asked it. What did you ask?
I asked Jimmy about his ankle and his knee brace. I said, Jimmy, you looked healthy out there today. Is your ankle 100% healthy? And I noticed you weren't wearing a knee brace. Are you done with that? Or are you going to bring that back out in games? And he goes, oh, geez. Like, here comes Grant with the tough questions. But Jimmy's actually a really good sport. He's always been very nice to me. So he said, first of all, the ankle's 100%. I feel great. The knee brace, he said, I'm sorry. I keep giving you mixed messages on that. I'm going to go back and forth with that, which was a fair, interesting answer. I mean, I know it sucks to always ask him about his injuries, but that's the question with him. I'm not always.
Iggy,
you played well today in practice?
Iggy, when he said, "Oh, geez," what was his demeanor when he said it? His tone.
He smiled. He was in a great mood. Like, oh man, here you go with the high hard one. Like, nah, not really. And he was in a good mood. Of course,
he could answer it. And plus, it was about him. It wasn't about the other guy.
Yes, absolutely.
You weren't asking him, should the other guy wear a knee brace?
So how much better than you is Trey Lance? When do you think Trey Lance should take your job?
Yeah,
when do you give it over to him?
Yeah, really. Are you really nice to him in the quarterback meetings?
Yeah. Do you hold his hand?
You hold hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like can he talk about himself for a second? He hasn't lost the job yet. And the same thing happened with Alex Smith, although it was after he lost the job to Kaepernick. But anytime they got a hold of Alex Smith, is how great is Colin? Did you see this coming from Colin Kaepernick? And he would kind of grit his teeth and answer the questions. But it was like, man, that's rough. I don't have it in me to ask Alex these questions. I'm just going to stand here and listen. Right. Yeah. Anyway, I was proud that I asked him about his own thing.
Good for you.
Okay. So this is the topic of the show. Kyle Shanahan, I've only seen one practice, but it's a competition. Jimmy Garoppolo outplayed Trey Lance yesterday, but Jimmy Garoppolo played with all the starters. Trey Lance played with all the backups. He was playing with Austin Watkins and JaMychal Hasty and the undrafted free agents. It seems to me that if you're going to have a real competition, they need to actually split the reps. On the other hand, you could argue that Trey Lance has to earn the right to compete. What do you think is the right approach, Dad?
Well, I want you to answer first so I can defeat you with my
okay. Watching him yesterday, I felt like he hasn't earned the right to compete yet. You could put him out there with Kittle and Ayuk and all these great players, but that's not going to change the fact that the ball's going to be 4 feet over their head. And yes, maybe some of those guys can make great catches and bail him out, but he has serious work that he has to do on his own stuff that is independent of any teammates. And once he can be a little bit more consistent, maybe. I mean, if he's just going to be sailing passes, he's going to be wasting people's time on the starting unit. So I would say I'd like to see him earn it.
I think you make a good case for that, and I certainly understand it.
Mm-hmm.
From my point of view, they gave up a lot for this kid. A lot of draft picks and serious draft picks into the future. I think it should be an even-handed competition. I think the only way this kid will earn it is to pass to the same starters that Jimmy does. I would divide it equally, right down the middle, including preseason games. That's what I would do, and not give one the advantage over the other. I would check how they do, give them a scorecard, and at the beginning of the season, start the one who's performed better in training camp, OTAs, and preseason. And I think it would be Jimmy, by the way, but I would split it down the middle.
Okay, here's how I think they're going to do it. Here's my prediction, and tell me if you think it's prudent. I think in OTAs and minicamp, they're gonna go slow with Trey Lance and keep him with the backups. Say he's learning. Then he's gonna go away for a month and a half, and then they're gonna come back for training camp. And then I think then it'll be an even split, and it'll be an even split in preseason. I do. Do you think that's a fair compromise, or do you think it's a waste of 4 weeks?
I think it's a fair compromise.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying.
Yeah.
It seems prudent.
Yeah.
That seems like a good idea.
Give him 4 weeks where he's not technically competing, where he's just learning. And then by July, you got to go, baby. It's time.
I love it. I think that you found what we call a workable compromise.
Yeah.
That's what you do?
That's what I do. Nice. We figured it out.
Okay, well, I'm persuaded. I like it.
Okay, so I expect by the beginning of training camp, he needs to be taking as many starter reps as Jimmy Garoppolo. If not, we'll talk about it. We'll talk to Kyle about it at that point. All right. I asked Kyle Shanahan a question yesterday in his press conference. I was the only one who actually addressed Trey Lance's interception. Trey Lance threw an interception in practice. He should have thrown two. One was dropped. One of the main things going for him is that he didn't commit turnovers in college. So I asked Kyle, I said, first interception was high. Second one was high. When he misses, he tends to miss high. Are you seeing anything mechanically? Are you seeing any mechanical issues there?
Okay, could I say something? Mm-hmm. He gives you an answer. Can you read the answer to us?
I certainly can read the answer to us.
Because read it slow, because I would like to talk about his answer.
All right, hold on.
I mean, this is phenomenal that you can do this. I don't know how you do it.
All right, let me read it, and then I'll read you what I said and then what he said. So I said Trey Lance threw an interception on a pass in 7-on-7 that was a little high. Then he had another pass that was almost picked that was a little high. I know it was not a concern in May, but when he does miss high, what do you see from him mechanically? And he says, nothing. I'm watching where the ball's going. We don't judge a guy's mechanics every time he throws. That would drive a guy crazy. We just try to coach him and get the ball to the right spot. Usually it has to do with where your feet are your feet under you, and throwing it on time. So that's just stuff you want them to work through and get better at. But there's no secret to, hey, if you do this, it won't be so high. We'll let you write about that, but that's not how I coach them.
Okay. You want my response then? Mm-hmm. What leaps out to me is at the very end, he says, we'll let you write about that.
Right.
That's a very interesting statement. First of all, no coach lets a journalist write anything.
Right.
My editor and I talk about what I want. We have editorial conferences, mm-hmm. and Kyle is not in those editorial conferences.
No.
Because here's the deal. I write whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, I'm my own.
I write whatever the hell I want. Yeah. And Kyle, I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
You're not allowing me to do anything.
That's right.
I'm doing my job, and you worry about your job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So right away, I don't like that attitude that somehow you're there under his kindness,
right?
His sufferance. That Matty Mayoko is there under his kindness, or Eric Branch is there, or Matty Barrows are there under his kindness, and he's
people who've been there like decades longer than him, and will be here decades.
After he's gone, because every coach gets fired.
Yeah,
they'll be there after he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. If anything, we're indulging him. He's not indulging us, if anything. So right away, I don't like that. Then the pièce de résistance, where I want my brains to fly out my ears. We don't worry about mechanics.
He also said there's really not much I can do. We try to get their feet in the right position. You try to get their feet in the right position. That's what you said. Hold on, Kyle. Hold on. You're an offensive genius, okay? You have a quarterback coach who is paid a healthy sum of money, Rich Gangarello, to be an expert on the biomechanics of throwing. He's like a caddy in golf. Hey man, your backswing's a little off. You're off a little here. That's what he's supposed to be. Your release. You guys, your feet. What the hell are you talking about? When he goes to Tom House isn't going to be like, yeah, there's not really much we can do. I mean, I'll work with your feet a little bit. Like, no, Tom House is going to do like 3D diagrams of him on a computer and find out where he's losing energy and how to optimize his throwing motion. It's going to be very scientific. He's done it for tons of professional athletes, Hall of Famers. So what I'm learning is that, okay, Trey Lance is a guy that everyone knew needed work on mechanics. He went to a team with good play design, good weapons, but not one coach who knows the first things about the biomechanics of throwing. That's a problem. He's going to need to spend a lot of time away from the facility learning from real experts in this field because the Niners don't have one.
And the point is, Iggy, it is a field of study. It's an established field of study with texts, with theories. And Kyle was saying, I don't know nothing about it.
Move their feet around.
I
just try to make sure that they're throwing to the right spots, dude.
So he says, Iggy, I'm looking at where the ball goes. I'm not looking at how he throws it. Bill Walsh would have been looking like, how do you throw it? Then the ball will get there.
Yeah, he's looking at the end result, not the process. You know why? Because he has no clue what the process is. He was a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I don't know who this quarterback. I mean, Rich Scangarello, he's been around. Who the hell is Rich Scangarello? No offense, Rich Scangarello, but come on, man. This kid needs to go to Tom House. He needs to spend as much time away from the facility working on his mechanics as possible. And some people say you want to throw this kid in the fire so he can learn. Look, Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 years. When he was at Cal, he held the ball in his ear. You remember that?
He did.
And by the time he was playing it at Green Bay, it was much more relaxed. You absolutely can rebuild your throwing motion on the bench. And that's probably the best place to do it because when you're on the field, you're going to revert to what you've been doing your whole life.
So I'm talking to you now, Kyle. Out of the kindness of your heart, I'm retired, but if I was still working, you'd let me write and say certain things. So this is what you're going to let me say today. I don't think you know about coaching, throwing, passing. I think you need to learn about it so that you can send your kid to the right person because you're not the man. You can design good plays, but for you to say you watch where the ball goes and you're not worried that much about the mechanics of it is backwards. I would have to say it's ignorant. And I would have to say you need to do some soul searching and you need to get your number 3 pick in the draft, right?
The most important thing for Trey Lance is throwing mechanics from the pocket.
Yeah.
If he had Bill Walsh, it would have been the perfect coach for him. But he has Kyle Shanahan, who already says there's not much I can really do. Good, Kyle. Then you should have drafted Mac Jones. You know, because everyone knew this. Exactly. Dad, he might be. What you want me to say? It's why I didn't want him. That's why I wanted Mac Jones.
Yeah, because I don't know how to teach him. I don't know how to teach him. So I needed to have somebody come in as a finished product. Kyle, this is not very impressive.
No.
I hope you'll let me say this. It's not very impressive.
Yeah, you got to get your permission slip, Dad. Mark Salas says, when Kyle dismissed your reference to feet technique, he showed weakness. You got under his skin. Walsh always worked with his quarterbacks on footwork. No, Walsh just looked at where the ball was going. Mark, you're wrong.
And you know, Iggy, it was a swipe at you too.
Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, you think you know everything. You have all the answers. Well, at least I try. You've already given up.
Iggy, you don't have the answer, but you have the question.
I have the question. I do.
He doesn't even have the question.
He doesn't have the question. Hey, man. Hey, he'll figure it out or he won't. I don't know what to tell you. I'll work with his feet. Hey, good job, man.
Hey, look, as long as the ball got over there.
Because the way I look at it is it's not an issue of his feet. He's overthrowing. These grunt throws. He doesn't need to be putting everything he has into these throws, these 15-yard throws over the middle. He needs to take a little off. That has nothing to do with his feet. Let's see.
And I want to say something else, Iggy.
Yeah.
You see, I'm more concerned with, I guess today for me, what the theme of this broadcast is today is the attitude of the general manager and the coach, is the feeling they're giving. And I feel that John Lynch did the right thing late. But John Lynch, he may not be there on time, but he's going to get there.
Yeah.
I like John Lynch.
Yeah.
I don't have that confidence in Shanahan.
No.
I think Shanahan is essentially saying, who are you to question me?
Yeah.
I know everything. I feel that even though he has a low-key demeanor, he's very arrogant.
You think? You just got that? Oh my, he's the most arrogant coach I've ever covered. And I've covered some, I mean, Jim Harbaugh was a quarterback in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh won 3/4 of the games that he coached here. And Kyle is way more arrogant than Jim Harbaugh was.
And Harbaugh was arrogant.
Oh, yeah, he had an athlete's ego. He was a first-round pick. He played at Michigan. Yeah. And Kyle Shanahan's on a different, like, he invented football.
He's even more than Harbaugh.
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. And he can be cool sometimes, but deep down, it's the most arrogant coach I've ever coached. Ever.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
Sometimes arrogance is good.
Yes.
It means that you have tremendous confidence.
Yes.
Sometimes it's very good.
Yes.
But if it interferes with your growth and with your and being self-reflective, it's not good.
Right. Gold-blooded said Kyle's response to mechanics shows why Jimmy hasn't progressed. When Jimmy is on another team, he's going to make Kyle eat crow.
I like it. Jimmy has regressed because he hasn't been taught.
The coach says Grant tried to bite off more than he can chew with his granular approach. You constantly insult Kyle. He also smirked at you when he blew you off.
You know, maybe he shouldn't smirk. Maybe he needs to take back the smirk, and he needs a little more humility. And I want to go with this.
Mm-hmm.
I've been smirked at a lot more than Iggy has in my life and as a sports writer. And you know what I felt about it? I may know more than you. I may not know the answer, but again, I know the question.
Yeah.
And I can see maybe where you need to think about things.
Yeah.
So smirking, fine with me. I'll smirk back at you. And I'll get the last word.
Damn right. Paul Willis says, don't know Kyle was a dance instructor. Does he hold classes to help me with my foot technique? I don't know, man. That's a good question. All right. Let's move on. Next topic is the last topic. Kyle Shanahan. We're not done with you, baby. So really, your technique with the media isn't the best. But we think we have some suggestions for you, and we have a good model for how you can improve. So yesterday, I think you try to show a little bit of personality, but it always comes across as forced and awkward, as opposed to George Kittle. When he comes out and talks to the media, he disarms all of us. He uses humor. He may not like any of us. Who knows what he really thinks, but he comes out, uses humor, and we all like him. Kyle, you could do the same thing. I really think you could try it.
Hold on. What did he do yesterday?
George Kittle?
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday I asked him a question. Again, everyone was asking about Trey Lance, and I figured this is George freaking Kittle. Trey Lance hasn't proven anything. Maybe George is allowed to talk about himself and his tight ends. So I said, George, what about the tight ends? What about Ross Dwelly, all the young guys in your group that you're mentoring? How do they look to you? And he was like, oh, well, you know, most of them worked out with me this summer, so they're all looking great. Ross worked out on his own. I know he's your favorite tight end. He's looking really good too, which I thought was really cute. It let me know that he, you know, at least reads a little bit of what I do. A little,
and it also means that he deflects potential tough topics, i.e., you hurt my feelings, i.e., you don't value me enough, by deflecting it with humor.
Yeah, humor. Like you're disrespecting me? No, it's a joke.
It's a joke, and it's a way to ease the tension, to keep communication going, and to show he's a good guy. And so what Iggy is saying is, Kyle ought to sit in on the sideline of Kittle's news conferences.
Oh,
because Kyle could relax. He could, you know what, Iggy? I've never seen him smile.
He doesn't smile much. He's a dour, serious man.
Yeah,
dour.
That's okay. But I think I feel there's a lot to. I've learned that tense situations, you don't always want to argue them through. Right. If someone lightens it up with humor, it makes it evaporate. It makes it vanish. And, you know, Kittle is a natural at that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm pretty good at it. Robert Salo's good at it. It's a very useful skill that Kyle Shanahan should learn because he doesn't have it. He has other things.
So what we've indicated in today's, and Kyle, you know, I know you watch us, and I know secretly you really like us.
Deep down.
What we've learned today is, in talking about you, there are at least two skills that you need to develop to become a better head coach and a better person.
Yeah.
One is you need to reevaluate your thoughts about teaching quarterbacks, that mechanics really do matter. And it's not just where you put the front foot. And the other is lighten up with humor. And I swear, if you do those two things, you will win friends and influence people.
Yeah, because right now your job security is still based on your last name and the job you did in Atlanta as an offensive coordinator. If you have a losing season here, you're going to have less and less allies, and social skills are going to begin to matter for the first time in your life. I know usually people have that awakening in their teens or their 20s, but it's never too late.
Well, he did get a team to the Super Bowl, so we got to give him credit. He did get a team to the Super Bowl.
Certainly. Two.
But I want to make a one-to-one comparison, and then I think maybe we're done for the day. John Lynch has everything we're talking about that Kyle needs to have. John Lynch is a genius. He's a genius at being comfortable, making other people feel comfortable, interspersing humor to make a tough situation go away. He also uses everybody's name, meaning I know who you are. You're important to me. And it works. People are pretty much on his side. It doesn't mean you won't criticize him.
How you treat people matters.
Absolutely. And Kyle hasn't learned that. So I think two things he should do. He should sit in on the side on Kittle, but also with the general manager.
Yeah.
Again, not at the dais with him. He should sit there and take notes.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also watch live streams of Robert Saleh's press conferences from New Jersey. He does a great job. He already has those the New York media on his side. That's impossible. So Saleh would be another one to study. I would put that in the rotation for Kyle, the reading list. S. Thompson says, do you think maybe Shanahan was letting Lance off the hook? He's actually giving mechanics advice that isn't sinking in yet. Why would Kyle say something that, I mean, like, make himself look inept by saying, I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing I can tell him. I don't know.
I don't think he was. I don't think in his personal life he's that many moves ahead. Saleh was. And on the field, Kyle is. I don't think in his personal life he's developed those skills.
I don't think so either. Titus says, after either the firing of Tom Sula or Kelly, someone asked Jed if he had been humbled after the failure. Was that you who asked that, Lowell?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Sounds like a question maybe Eric would have asked. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mariah says, Lowell, love all the knowledge and insight you bring. Always look forward to this show. Grant, keep up the great work. Appreciate your grind and all you do. Thank you, Mariah. It was very nice of you.
Thank you, Mariah.
Thank you, Mariah. I understand that this is probably a tough show for some 49er fans because in May, most football fans just want you to say that team looked great. Team looked great. They're heading the right direction. You know, the coach is evolving. The quarterback looks great. That's not what we do. And really, this is the time of year where we can be the least popular because we're the same all year long. But just remember that we said it when we said it. And when you agree with us in 6 months, just know that we never waver. Sorry. Brandon, one more and then we got to go. You're on the cusp of being the 49ers chosen reporter. Close the gap just like Kittle is able to positively connect with the media. Do the same with them. Okay, Brandon, I hear you. I can do it. For you, I will do it. I will take over the beat for you. Dad, this was one of our best. Thank you.
I love you, son. This was
Love
great.
you too, Dad. I will call you in a second.
Pull me in the upstairs phone.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'll be doing a live scouting session with Jack at 3 o'clock. That's in an hour and 15. See you then.